Welcome, listeners, to the It's Your Business Show, coming to you every Saturday at 12 noon. Now, whether you're starting your own business or you're already a successful entrepreneur, the It's Your Business Show delivers weekly advice from the best experts to provide you with insightful suggestions for your small business to allow it to thrive in the competitive marketplace. The It's Your Business Show is brought to you by Promo Experts. As a one-stop full-service marketing company, they can help you get noticed with top-notch creative graphic design, marketing strategy, video production, digital marketing, and promotional products to move you forward. Also, Publishing Concepts. Let Publishing Concepts LLC help you get your publishing project off the ground. They're a top-rated full-service multimedia publishing company that offers traditional print publishing, books and magazines, digital media and ebooks, website design and development, social media and marketing services, video production, and more in St. Louis. Okay, audience, here's your host, Dr. Stan Fine.
All right, audience, welcome. Welcome to the show. This is Dr. Stan Fine, the business doctor, and
Melissa Coleman.
She's the wisdom doctor. She does a lot of things.
I'm a spiritual doctor.
Yeah. So happy to have you on the It's Your Business Show. And we come every week on KWRH and KXOK. If you're driving in your car, just if you're in the area, either go to 102.9 FM or go to 92.9 FM. That's the local St. Louis stuff. Okay, Charlie's nodding yes too. I agree. And then simultaneously, if you go to your computer, and right now, go to your computer, I'm telling you, and you can do it, tell what to do. All right, and there you've got US Radio Network. And if you do that, you'll get a video, a live video of Jimmy YouTube Live, right? YouTube Live on YouTube.
So.
Huh?
I believe so.
He said he believes so that's good enough for me. And then you're also on US, I want to confuse the hell out of you. You're on US Radio Network. And if you go there, you'll pick up these stations that if you got an internet station, and some cars have that. Mm-hmm. They have internet, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah. And so anyway, we're really excited about the show today. Oh, on our internet, which is even bigger than our local, I think we're at 275,000 listeners a week. That's on KMTC-ST-Louis. And just some radio lingo. Anytime a radio station is west of the Mississippi, it begins with a K. And if you're on the east of the Mississippi, all stations all the way to the Atlantic Ocean begin with a W. Like I think WDAP is Chicago, you know. Mm-hmm. So if you want to know where you're at and you're not in the local, just go to something called Zeno.fm. I'll give you a whole bunch of stuff. Zeno.fm and type a city in, and the city you're in will do that. I was talking to a chiropractor in Des Moines the other day. And she said, well, how can I know you can reach me in Iowa? I said, type, and I gave her the call sign, whatever it was, K or W something, Des Moines. And she said, oh, there you are. I said, yeah. Now if you click the button, you can hear us. And she went, oh, yeah, I can hear you now. She said, well, let's talk about commercials. And I said, okay. So anyway, you can be anywhere. I'm just playing with you a little bit, but it's true. It's true. So in today's economy, there are more people looking to buy and sell businesses than ever before. So when a company owner needs to sell their business, they can't just stick a for sale sign in the window. They need the assistance of a business broker to locate and vet potential buyers. On the other side, pardon me, buyers rely on the broker to help facilitate the process of evaluating potential businesses and franchises for a sale. So a Trans World Business Advisor is the solution. And Trans World Business Advisor, a little bit more about them. is the world leader. Trans World Business Advisors is the world leader in the marketing and sale of businesses. Billy, I think it's coast to coast, right?
Absolutely.
Internationally, actually.
Charlie,
Internationally.
okay, get your feet wet, get you on the voice. Hey, so whether you represent an acquisition-minded corporation, the smaller you get, the more intimate this information is, or are personally interested in owning your own company. They do that too. Transworld offers the professional services that successfully bring buyers and their sellers. So, my dear Melissa, my beautiful Missy, would you introduce Billy and Charlie for us?
Absolutely. We have joining us today again, Billy Rowland
Yay.
and his partner, Charlie Scarlett. So both of you, welcome to the show. It's
Thank
a
you very
pleasure to
much.
have you. So as agents with Trans World Business Advisors, they help their clients buy and sell businesses every day. Every broker that is a part of their team completes a full business brokerage training course and certification program. They understand that the task of buying or selling a business can be overwhelming without the proper guidance and skills. Over the years, they have helped many companies around the world with the buying and selling process, ensuring their clients' confidentiality every step
You
of the
say
way.
that 3
I did. I
times.
was like, I'm
And
looking at it.
you
I'm
get
like,
a-
am I reading it right?
Yeah, you get a
Um,
box of candy. Oh,
I
you
know.
Charlie did get a box of candy. Okay.
Their goal is to make the process as smooth as possible for both sides by relying on their global network of experienced business advisors. Again, gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Missy.
Dr. Stan, Missy, thank you so much for having us on today. We really appreciate it.
We were so impressed with you the last time
Yes.
that we said right then and there, we got to have you back. We did,
Yeah.
didn't we? Yeah,
No,
we
it
did.
was a great show. I think it was really
Oh my
informative.
God! Yeah, you
to our
guys were
listening
so
audience.
good.
The show last time was
Sure.
a lot of fun. It was, we talked about a lot of really good
Oh,
subjects, gave your
mhm.
listeners some really good actionable tips, and we're happy to be back and continue the discussion that we had last
I,
time.
I
Continue
think we
right where we left off.
Yeah, we left it. So why don't we continue the discussion?
Mhm,
Okay.
Absolutely.
And would you like me to start the question?
Yes, you go ahead.
Okay, by golly, I'm going to start him. Okay. So, gentlemen, what is a business broker? Well, that's a good one.
Yeah. So I can take that answer for you. So, we are business brokers, and what we make our living doing is helping people buy and sell businesses. The easiest way I try to explain it to people is we're like real estate agents, except we only worry about up and running active businesses. So a lot of times whenever small business owners are running their business, they're so busy in their day-to-day and running everything they need to and wearing a whole bunch of different hats, they never really think about the end game. They never think about what happens whenever I finally want to potentially exit this business. And one thing that, from my experience, not enough people know about is they can sell their business. And not only can they sell it, it's usually one of the largest financial assets of their life.
Mhm.
A business is a livelihood. It can help pay for themselves, their salaries, their families, their kids. It can help other people have jobs. It can have good salaries for it. And a business broker simply takes that business, helps them translate the value on the open marketplace, can help find a buyer for that particular type of business, and essentially facilitate the transaction so that whenever somebody wants to sell their business or somebody wants to buy their business, it makes it as easy as possible.
Surprisingly, many people don't even realize that their business has value. I've talked to so many people
That's
who
interesting.
will call
Yeah.
and say, well, I don't know if my business is worth anything. I don't know if I want to sell it or if I want to just shut it down. And I'll talk to them. I'll take them through a process and find a value for their business and present them with a marketing plan that gives them a viable exit strategy that has them not only locking the door and walking away from the headaches, but also walking away with some money in their pocket. And
Mhm.
perhaps, and in some cases, a lot more than they ever expected.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Is that true of even a small business? Because I think,
Absolutely.
small business owners are really like, oh my God, do I have anything that's worth anything? Can it be bigger? Can it be better? All of those things. So,
Absolutely. And businesses that aren't running anymore, if they've got assets that are worth more than our minimum commission, then they're walking away with money when it's all done.
right.
And we had a situation like that last year with that dog grooming facility.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. We were able to help a dog groomer. Essentially, it was a single operator business here in St. Louis. I can't mention the name of it because all the businesses that we list and sell are confidential.
Okay.
That's a big difference between us and the real estate industry.
Yeah, we
but
don't want to get anybody in trouble.
no worries. But yeah, that was a
Okay.
situation where there was a professional dog groomer, had a really nice little practice, had a couple of chairs, and it was a great little business. And she was only, she had that conversation just like everybody else says, saying, how do I get out of this? What's my exit plan? What am I going to do after this? And so we helped her, we met her, we evaluated the business, and she was closed down for a number of months whenever we actually found the buyer and facilitated. But the buyer was so excited in the business and that she already had clients in place. She already had infrastructure. She already had all the assets. And it was in a great location that the buyer was able to literally walk right in the door and take over that existing business and that relationships. And they didn't have to go through the hardships of starting the first couple of years and learning those mistakes that all business owners, myself included, and I'm sure your listeners know, that they go through. And you pay for those mistakes in the first couple of years. But if you have an up and running business, it's a lot easier because you worked out those kinks because you've been more established.
Skincare business. How long you had a partner that you bought it from? How long have you been doing
So
it?
we are actually, we just celebrated our 41st year on the 8th.
41st year.
On the
Can you
8th of this
imagine?
month.
That is
It's so
awesome.
funny. It
You're
is
good,
a
it's an
small
established
business, and I feel like I was so blessed when I got it that as long as my partner had the business, she would honestly admit, she's like, I can't stand marketing. And it was not her cup of tea. So I feel like I have this amazing business, and we're like new, like we're existing and old, but new to so much of who is out there now. So it's like a lot of fun for me right now to be playing in the sand with it. So
Congratulations. Most
Thank
businesses don't last 41 years, believe
we
me.
got quite a product. I
Well,
have
and
to
your
say.
business is international too. So
Yes.
she took it from a partner. Hers was Missy's transition was much smoother than the
Yeah.
partner cultivated her, then bequested the business to her. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that was interesting. So your turn, honey.
All right. So how do you determine the fair market value of a business for
Yeah.
anyone that might be interested in
Yeah,
doing this?
that's an excellent question. And that's usually one of the first questions that usually people ask is, well, you've got a business, it has assets. What's it worth, right? And the disclaimer answer is always a business is worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. But
Right.
as business brokers, we really make it a science and a little bit of an art form to try to translate that value in real meaningful terms. So generally speaking, a business can provide revenue, and that's why it's in business. It generates revenue and it generates an income for themselves. As business brokers, what we do is we sit down one-on-one with the business owner. We package their financial documents using tax returns, profit and loss statements, balance sheets, and sometimes shoebox full of receipts to help figure out what the amount of income they're making is, right? And how can we prove it? How can we translate that so that whenever we find the right buyer to come along, they can say, okay, that makes sense. I can see that. I can see that for myself, but also assisting with getting it financed. A huge percentage of our businesses, they're looking for financing. So we help them package the deal with an SBA loan or a conventional loan or a number of different ways. But that cash flow is so important for that business. And as business brokers, what we do is we typically look at the last 3 to 5 years worth of historical financials from any type of a company. We determine what we call is their seller discretionary earnings. A lot of small business owners, the bottom line of their tax return doesn't necessarily reflect the full picture. And as business brokers, we're trained to dig a little bit deeper into the financials and really figure out, if I buy this business today, how much money can I make if I run it the exact same way that you do? So that bottom line net income or seller's discretionary earning usually has a multiple assigned to it, depending on what type of industry, how long the business has been established. And then we establish a sale price based off of that. Most small businesses tend to sell from a multiple of 1 times seller's discretionary earnings to 3 times. So if you've got a business that's generating about $100,000 in cash and you can prove it, that business could be sold for anywhere from, $250,000 to $300,000 or anywhere in between.
So when they walk in the door, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
They walk in the door and they're looking to buy a business. Obviously, they're hoping it's worth something so that they have a reason, be physical, mental, emotional, whatever the reason is. But then, I think what we said is, how do you determine fair market value? And then you zinged right in on it at the end when you said you evaluate what you're earning. You called it what, discretionary?
Yeah, so we call it seller's discretionary earnings. You know,
What does that mean?
so what that means is, you
Yeah.
know, as business brokers, we're trying to dig a little bit deeper into the financials. Most small business owners, well, they have their tax return and it'll have their top line gross revenue. It'll have some basic expenses. And the bottom line is always their net income, right? That's their taxable income that they're paying income taxes on. Most small business owners tend to run some discretionary expenses through their business that don't necessarily need to be used to run their business, but it can be seen as cash flow. For example, are they paying themselves a salary? You know, do you pay yourself a W-2 wage? Are you taking out are you paying interest on any kind of a loan? So let's say you got a line of capital and you're paying interest on it, right? Well, that's cash that could be in your pocket if you didn't need to have that.
Yeah.
If you have a depreciation, so let's say you have a really asset intensive business like manufacturing or like car washes, you know, you can buy an asset and depreciate it over a long period of time, and that can reduce your taxable income. As business brokers, we look at all these things combined as well as other discretionary flow income, and we just try to figure out, if I run this business exactly like you, how much money can I make? And we call it seller's discretionary earnings.
Some other elements of seller's discretionary earnings as well. People who own businesses tend to live out of their businesses.
Right.
So I'll have the business pay for my car.
Mhm.
It may pay for my cell phone. It may pay for my kids' cell phones. It may pay for country club dues. It may pay for travel, because we're traveling and everything is business related when you own a business.
Absolutely.
So there are lots of other expenses, charitable contributions, things I'm giving to my favorite charities, and it's all deductible to my business. But it's not something that you, if you buy my business, might want to spend yourself. So that's all added back
Mm.
to create the discretionary earnings that business, that cash flow that will generate to you. If I own the building that my business is operating in, I'm paying myself rent. I can add that back, because if you buy the business and the building, you're going to be collecting that rent. So that all
Right.
comes back to you. So that all goes back to create this seller's discretionary earnings. And then you multiply it by the multiple that Billy was talking about. And then you add to that the cost of any inventory that might be in there.
Mhm.
And then we look at comparable sales.
Mhm.
Transworld has sold tens of thousands of businesses over the past 40 years. And so we have access to all those records on what was the multiple that those businesses sold for? What are comparable businesses to the ones that we're looking at right now? And then we look at those comparables and we calculate that in as well.
Yes.
And there may be special considerations too. The company may own special, unique, proprietary information. You know, what is it called?
Yeah, intellectual property,
property.
additional software, any kind of proprietary information. Business assets can be translated in a variety of ways for it, but it all has a value for it. You just need to dig in a little bit deeper. And that's where we spend a lot of our time, is just sitting down one-on-one with business owners and saying, help me understand the financial picture of your business, but also help me understand why you got started. Why did you get into business? And, you know, the number one question that I feel that every buyer asks on every business I've ever
Right.
sold is, why do you want to sell?
Right.
You know,
Well, we didn't even get to that question yet.
Can I ask a follow-up question
Sure.
before we do that?
Sure.
For a business that may not be ready to sell in this moment, but possibly looking at doing it down the line, is it worth a conversation with the advisor group before even considering selling, just to maybe get themselves in alignment and ready?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
all
One
of
of,
that.
one of my favorite sayings is, you don't wait until you're thirsty to start digging the well. And if you're ever thinking about an exit strategy for your business, today is the day to start talking with a business advisor,
Mhm.
so that you can begin to improve your profitability as best you can. Maybe restructure some elements of your business that are going to make it more saleable. If you're taking cash out of your business, it's not showing up on your tax returns. You want to stop doing that, so it shows up on your tax returns.
Mhm.
If people take cash out of their business, they can't expect to get credit for that when they're trying to sell it.
Right. Right.
Like our boss said, you know, if you steal it while you're running the business, you can't get it again when you sell the business. So yeah, all those
Well,
Okay.
elements come.
yeah, the other question is, who is TVA? I mean, who are you in the country? I don't think you looked at me shocked. I'm just going, who are you? You know, I mean, you're obviously somebody that the world knows. So who exactly are you in the world? Who is TVA? I read the book. The book with this founder was incredible. Thank you for sharing it.
yeah, glad you liked it.
And good strategies. Guy had, but he knew people too.
Mhm.
And what, in your opinion, who do you see TVA at? We're giving you the glossy spit and polish image of you.
Yeah.
But who in the day-to-day when you wake up and get out of bed and go, well, I have coffee, I'm ready to go. Who are you?
Mhm.
Why should the world want to do business with you?
Well, Dr. Stan, we're business owners just like your listeners are. We run our own business the same way that we teach our sellers and our clients and even our buyers the way that they run their business. But what we really got into business for is that, there are so many small businesses out there. According to the Small Business Administration, over 99% of all businesses are considered small businesses.
Okay.
And most of them don't know that they have an asset that they can sell. So where do we fit into the picture? I'll tell you a little short story. So whenever I was about this tall, I'm young now. I'll tell the listeners that
I was
I'm
like,
Don't
29 on the
rub it
hair.
in.
I know. Most
If you're looking
I
at
don't-
it on YouTube like I am, his hand is lower than his waist. See? And I got you right YouTube.
So whenever I was young, my family had a moving and storage business here in St. Louis, and we were partnered with a franchise, and we did local and long distance moving and storage. And we built that business up, and I was too young to be involved in the operations, but I was still around it because most small businesses, people live in their businesses, like Charlie alluded to.
Mhm.
My family had a need to exit that business, and we had a large number of employees that worked with us. And what we didn't want to do, what was the worst case scenario for us, was close the doors, was go into work one day, tell all of our help, all of our crew, all of the people, hey, I'm sorry, we're closing down the business. Good luck, right? So what did we do? We evaluated our options. We went out and we looked for a business broker, which Charlie and I do now, and they essentially helped us package and put the business on the market. We ended up actually selling that business so that all of the employees that we had, those workers showing up to move the houses, the support staff, the dispatchers, the truck drivers, they kept getting that wage and nothing changed in their lives for it. So by going through that transaction firsthand with, I was too young at the time to handle it, but my dad, who was running the company, was very involved in the deal.
Right.
He essentially, a couple of years passed after he sold his business, and he started thinking, well, if I did that, why can't I do it for other people? If somebody helped me sell my business, why can't I do the same thing? And we find in our industry, the best business brokers are usually business owners, because business owners wear so many hats and do so many different things, and you need to be very effective at a lot of things. You don't understand the complexities of small business usually unless you've run it. So almost all of our business brokers have ran their own businesses in the past. Charlie, for example, before he came on board with Transworld, we actually helped him facilitate the sale of his business, so he's gone through it firsthand. I've gone through it. Why we are in business is because we're small business owners who want to make it as clean as possible for other people to go through that process, because it's an emotional transaction, Stan. It is one of the most emotional things you can go through. It's not like selling a piece of real estate where you can list it and you can sell it and sometimes not even meet the person. Whenever you're selling a business, you typically have to have, a period of training. You got to make sure that the buyer and seller really get along, that the employees think it's going to be a good fit, that the buyer is adding value to the deal. And Transworld is really just a medium to convey all that. So we're the largest business brokerage franchise in the world. We're based out of Florida originally whenever we started, but the St. Louis branch just opened up last year for it. We've got probably 6 or 7 years experience in selling businesses. Myself personally, I've probably sold about 40 or so. And all we do is sell businesses and just educate small business owners on the right way to exit.
Okay. Charlie, what types of businesses get bought and sold?
Pretty much any type of businesses can be bought and sold. If they have a cash flow, that's great. If they don't have a cash flow, it's still doable. There are a lot of people are out there looking for absentee-owned business opportunities. They're looking for laundromats. They're looking for storage facilities, car washes, things like that, where they can kind of have it as a secondary source of income for themselves. And they can keep their job, but they can also have this operating on the side and spend a little bit of time working on that. Surprising number of businesses are absentee. I've got a couple of childcare centers right now that I have listed. Both of them are absentee. The directors are in place. The buyer can come in and continue operating. So it's a secondary source of income for someone who is would be interested in operating that kind of business. Generally, businesses with clean books and records sell better than businesses where Billy alluded to the shoebox full of, full of receipts. Obviously, when a buyer comes in, they want something that they can prove. We can show them tax returns, and we build all of our valuations off of the tax returns because those are provable. At least the IRS says that they're provable.
Yeah.
And then we add some things back and we can explain all that, but it's all explainable to a buyer. So any business where we can create a convincing, genuine explanation of what this business is, where it's been, and what it could do for a new owner, and help that new owner figure out, well, do I have the requisite qualifications to be able to continue the success of the existing owner? Then that business is going to easily sell. We've sold, in the past year, I've sold a physical therapy company. I've sold a home care business. I sold a medical equipment manufacturing company, an assisted living facility, a flower shop, a child care center, and there's more. And I can't even remember what they are. But the full range of opportunities. Right? You can sell any business. We talked about the dog grooming business. Anything and everything, as long as it's got good, clean records, and is a viable business, or has the potential to be a viable business.
And does this help, for people that are looking more in like those franchise areas? Do you work in that realm as well, or are you strictly independently owned companies? Or
any business is saleable, whether it's a franchise or not. The business that I sold was a franchise.
Okay.
And I used to be a franchise broker, so I was actually involved in selling franchises. And we, as Transworld, we're affiliated with what's the name of the parent?
Yeah, so we're partnered with a company called United Franchise Group.
That's it.
And essentially, what we do, our business model is broken up in a couple of different ways. Number one, we list and sell small businesses, but a lot of times we find that we typically, whenever we're taking a business to market and trying to find the right buyer, we go through a large amount of buyers trying to find that one perfect fit for that small business owner. And for a business, certainly an entrepreneur looking to diversify and get into business for themselves, if they can't find that perfect fit in an already established business, we've got the resources in front of us to be able to show them up to 500 different franchise concepts from all types of industries, ranging from food, service, repair, maintenance. You'd be amazed at the types of opportunities that are out there that essentially have a business model in a box that somebody can invest into, run it like it can, and grow it successfully. So whether or not it's buying an established business that's already there or getting started with a brand new franchise, that's something we also help out with.
Yeah. Well, we're about 2 minutes shy of break, so I'd like to ask you to, if somebody wants to do business with you and talk, how do they get a hold of you? What are your contact names and phone numbers?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. This is Billy with Transworld Business Advisors. The easiest way to get a hold of me is to call 636-400-6100. Once again, this is Billy, and that number is 636-400-6100. We try to make it easy for you and get a good phone number.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was
People
just
like to talk to people.
Yeah, they don't go, this is a recording, please leave your name, number, and your social security number, and we will get back to you.
And
I don't think so.
And I'm Charlie, and you can get a hold of me the same way, but my direct number that comes right to this cell phone is 636-400-5409.
And if you call them because you heard the show, let us know, because then we got to buy them lunch or something. I don't know, but let us know. We want the radio audience nationwide. Let us know. I know we got a lot of questions we didn't ask yet, so
We'll be back.
we'll be back. We're going to do a break.
Yes.
All right. After the break, we'll see you.
Do you want to become a radio show host, or do you want to create a radio show? Well, Dr. Stan Fine can help you to have your own radio show and put you on 100 cities daily across the U.S. And you can immediately start recording from a live radio studio. As a radio industry veteran, Dr. Stan Fine has 12 years of experience and has produced and hosted over 1,000 radio shows with over 10 million listeners. Dr. Stan Fine knows how to make this happen for you. He's a pro, and he can turn your dreams into a reality. Dr. Stan Fine will help you with everything from learning how to promote your show, develop a host persona, interview techniques, market your show on social media, teach you how to get guests and sponsors, and more. Dr. Stan Fine can put you on the air nationwide daily to 100 cities. If you're interested in making your dream come true, if you want to see how it all works, then give Dr. Stan Fine a call at 314-710-8413. That's 314-710-8413. You've got nothing to lose, and Dr. Stan Fine can help make your nationwide radio dreams come true. If you're looking for a new, informative health and lifestyle show to gain knowledge and inspiration to help guide your journey to think, work, and live more powerfully, then you need to listen to Sage Advice with Melissa. Now, whether you're trying to improve your life from a mental, physical, or spiritual journey, Sage Advice with Melissa Coleman, CEO of Sage Skincare, delivers weekly advice from industry experts to provide you with insightful suggestions to allow you to thrive with a better quality of life. Melissa's mission? To guide you through the uncharted waters of health and wellness and to give you a voice to help improve your life. So be sure to tune in to Melissa on KWRH 92.9 FM every Thursday at 10 a.m. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, listeners, saying thanks to your customers is nice and polite, but expressing your gratitude in memorable and ongoing ways can boost your business. At Promo Experts LLC, we exceed our customers' expectations. For over 20 years, our product knowledge and experience has helped them with their marketing initiatives and trade show graphics. We are happy to put that experience to work for you. Quality products, great customer service, and prices are our number one priority. We work with you to find unique, creative, and new ideas that fit your image and expectations, helping you build strong relationships with your customers. When you select Promo Experts as your marketing partner, we help you to see more than the big picture. For more information about this exciting opportunity, contact Diane Carson, President, at 636-458-5241. That's 636-458-5241. Let Promo Experts help you to move your business brand beyond the bland. Have you always wanted to write your own book but don't know where to start? Publishing Concepts, a publishing company located right here in St. Louis, offers everything from consulting, book printing, copyrights, ISBNs and barcodes, print book layout, ebook and iBook layout, graphic design, cover design, ghostwriting, typing and editing, distribution, marketing, and more for an affordable price. Visit publishingconceptsllc.com or just Google Publishing Concepts to get started today, or call 314-781-8880. That's 314-781-8880. Publishing Concepts. We help you sell more books.
In today's economy, there are more people looking to buy and sell businesses than ever before. When a company owner needs to sell their business, they can't just stick a for sale sign in the window. They need the assistance of a business broker to locate and vet potential buyers. On the other side, buyers rely on the broker to help facilitate the process of evaluating potential businesses and franchises for sale. A Transworld Business Advisor is the solution for both scenarios. Transworld Business Advisors focus on three core concepts: business brokerage, franchise consulting, and franchise development. Transworld has specialized in the sale of business and commercial real estate. Today, Transworld Business Advisors is a global network of brokers offering a turnkey solution for those that want to build a solid business and future for themselves while maintaining a balanced quality of life. With our comprehensive training program, full marketing support, and local field support, you won't have to start from scratch. Our trained experts and members will help you every step of the way. Transworld Business Advisors has 40 plus years of experience, 10,000 plus businesses sold, and 600 plus brokers, 250 offices worldwide. For a free initial consultation, call Charlie Scarlett, business broker, or Billy Rowland, business broker, at 636-400-6100. Again, that's Charlie Scarlett, business broker, or Billy Rowland, business broker, at 636-400-6100.
All right, audience, welcome back. You're listening to the It's Your Business Show with Dr. Stan Fine. And who are you?
Melissa Coleman.
Okay,
Sorry. I was like paying attention.
Oh, yeah, she was hey, we're on the air. Are we on the air? I don't know.
We are.
Let's see the show.
Air.
All right.
Yes.
So anyway, we come to you every week on Saturdays at 11 a.m. That's when we are on the air now, Saturday 11. And then we also come back the following week. Now that's
I have to tell you, I think you're at noon now because Mark sent me different times again.
did he
today.
again? All right, we're either 11 or 12. But if you listen to both shows, you won't hurt yourself. They're both really great shows. We're the biggest shows out there in our network. All right, so either time
Either
on
time.
92.9 FM, or if you can't reach the signal, pop over to 102.9 FM. Guess what? If you can't get it there, just type in on your phone US Radio Network, and it will take you to the show too.
Yes.
Once you go US Radio Network, just drop down to KWRH. We're in this new technology that you can hear it from your phone. So if we didn't get you on the drive time, well, you can do that on your phone now on your car.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Yes.
can play that.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
anyway, it's usradionetwork.com. Our guests today are Billy Rowland and Charlie Scarlett. Charlie's a longtime dear friend. They represent Trans World Business Advisors, and they're out there helping clients buy and sell business. And that gets us into the next question, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, Missy, what is the right time to sell my business? Gentlemen, either one, the floor is yours.
I'm not sure that there really is a right time to sell a business. It depends on a lot of factors. How's the business doing? Obviously, when you sell a business, you want it to be at the top of its performance. You want it to be profitable. You want it to be running smoothly. You want to have all of your employees have been there for 20 years. Everything is running smoothly. There are no lawsuits. There's nothing going on. There are no issues. So that's the best time. But it also, since we're talking small businesses and we're talking owners, it really, the most important thing is, where is the owner?
Mhm.
Is he my age and coming up to the point where he wants to retire and is looking for a way out? Does he have kids or relatives or employees that he wants to sell it to? Kind of what are his options at that point? So the right time to sell the business could be any time.
Mhm.
Right.
And we talked about this a little bit earlier. If you talk to an advisor such as ourselves, we can go through the questions. We can post the options. We can give a person an idea of what that business is worth to help them determine whether this is something that they even want to bother with, or whether this is something they need to plan, hire a new tax accountant to take care of all the profits that they're going to get. There are all sorts of elements in there that they have to pay attention to, but we can lead them through the process of looking at that. We can value their business. We can give them exit strategies. We can talk about ways that can help them improve the profitability of their business. If they want to sell immediately, we can do that. If they're looking to sell it in 3 to 5 years, we can do that too. But as I said, you don't wait till you're thirsty to start digging the well. So you jump in now, you learn the lay of the land, and then we're not going to charge them anything until we sell their business.
Well, here's a
That's
loaded
nice to-
question. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say that's nice to know for a business owner that they can come and have that conversation and not have to outlay like you do to so many
Exactly.
consultants, hundreds of dollars just to have the conversation.
Yeah, as a spinoff to either one of you, why, if somebody's making money, why do they want to sell the business? If everybody's happy and they're making money and they're going on their vacation every year and there's cash in the bank, why do they want to do it?
I'm working with a guy right now he's a younger guy, and he has owned his own car repair facility for the past 20 years, inherited it from his father. It's been around for 40 some years. He's just had it. He's just burned out. He wants to spend more time with his kids. He's coaching his kids' teams. He just wants more quality time
Mhm.
in his life. So that's a totally personal reason that really has nothing to do with the business. He's making good money, has been making good money for 20 years. He's been profitable, I think 18 out of the last 20 years.
Wow.
And has got great seller's discretionary earnings. It's just time for him to go. I felt that way when I sold my business a couple of years ago. I was just done. I loved it. I was passionate about it. I loved my team. I just had it with the daily grind.
I watch you in action too, and you were good. I've
Thank
been to some of his presentations. Was it FranNet?
No. The Entrepreneur Source.
Oh, after I'm sorry.
FranNet was our competitor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. Hey, erase
Come on,
that.
Stan.
Erase that. Boy, did I screw up on that one. Hey, man, oh man. You want to bail me out of this thing?
I want that box of chocolates back.
Right.
Yeah. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I'm sorry.
No worries at all, Dr. Stan. And yeah, like Charlie alluded to, most of the time, the reason why somebody's looking to sell their business has nothing to do with the actual operations of the business. It's a hugely personal decision. And that's why it's an emotional process, and where we spend a lot of our time guiding them through the process and holding their hand from start to finish, is that most of the time it's retirement. I'd say probably 80% of the people that I've sold their businesses for, they've reached that point, and we've even got some examples of some case studies that we could get into,
Oh yeah,
But
we're
I
gonna
got-
get there. I just want to make sure we got the question answered.
Absolutely. But yeah, retirement is usually the biggest reason. It's usually small business owners. They've gotten to the point where they're retiring and they're trying to figure out what the next step is, right? Like Charlie alluded to, burnout. Burnout's another big step. Sometimes people just get into a business and they get burnt out, whether it's over years of, experience, or just for whatever reason, they get burnt out and they're just not passionate. They don't love what they do anymore. So they're looking to get out. Sometimes it could be, the kids don't want to take it over. I hear that excuse a lot. Sometimes they, especially a second or third generation business, they may have the expectation that the kids will take it over, but those kids want nothing to do with that business because they've grown up in that business their whole life. I'm a proponent of that. With the moving and storage company we have, I paid for my Christmases on the back of a moving truck, and I knew exactly what it takes to do that. And, for me, it led me to another path. So retirement, burnout, sometimes the kids don't want to take it over. A lot of different reasons are why people sell their businesses.
Absolutely. And how does one get started on the path to selling their business?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And it really just starts with a conversation. Like we talked about here, and we've kind of explored some of the subjects. The best way to get started is to simply give us a call. Let's sit down one-on-one in a private, confidential setting. Let's review where you're at. Where are you at right now with your business? Where are your goals in the next year? Where do you want to be in the event of a perfect sale? And one thing that I think that not a lot of people know about is the time frames with a lot of these types of things. The average business, small business, takes anywhere from 6 to 9 months to sell from the time that it's put on the market. So you want to make sure you got your timing right. Before you actually go to market, you want to make sure you've got good, clean books and records, you know your story straight, that you've got good systems in place, and that you've got a good advisor, whether it's an accountant, an attorney, a business broker, a wealth advisor, making sure you're doing the right steps so that whenever you get to that closing table, it's an emotional process, but you can move on and go on to your next goals.
Mm-hmm.
You want to add something? Go
I
ahead.
want to add, the process of, that's where you start the process of selling your business, but it doesn't end there. Once we get it on the market, then Billy and I are fielding calls day in and day out, people calling into us through businessbroker.net, BizBuySell, the big national websites where where we advertise these businesses. So we're fielding calls from buyers all the time, and we're qualifying them to some degree. We don't get into depth. We just want to make sure they've got the background to be successful. We want to make sure they've got enough money to put down a down payment, and that their credit is good enough to be able to finance the deal. So we're helping them through that process. And then when they make an offer, we're the intermediary there. We're going back, we're presenting that offer we're helping the buyer create the offer. We're presenting it to the seller. We're feeling his response. And if they want to negotiate, then we'll develop a counter proposal. We'll take it back, and that'll go back and forth until there's an agreement.
You don't expose them to the client until you got it under control?
We've exposed them to the client probably earlier than that, because we set up buyer-seller meetings
Okay.
earlier on in the process to make sure that the buyer likes the seller likes the buyer, and that this is actually the right business. Then the offer is accepted. Then they go into due diligence for a couple of weeks where they're digging in there. Their financial advisor, their legal advisor are digging into the books and records to make sure that the business is what it appears to be. And then we're helping the buyer get his financing together. We're helping them negotiate with the landlord if there's a landlord involved. We are holding fairly regular meetings between the buyers and the sellers to make sure the new corporation is being set up properly, that insurance is in place, that the telephone is in place, that all the things that they need to get started in that business the day after closing is in place and ready to go. And so we're orchestrating all of that. And because we're dealing in small businesses, there's a lot of emotion there on both sides of this thing. And a lot of our time is counseling buyers and sellers. The seller wants to get it sold yesterday. The buyer is kind of having to dot a lot of T's and dot a lot of I's and cross a lot of T's. And there's a lot of stuff that comes up that no one expected. And so we're acting as coaches and counselors to kind of keep everybody calm and saying, this is the natural course of business. And, most of these deals fall apart 2 or 3 times before we finally get to closing, but they all come back together. And at the closing table, everybody's best friends.
Right.
And life is good again.
Uh,
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes on through this process of selling a business.
Yes.
I want to turn.
Oh, no, I was just going to say,
Yeah.
just going through that myself, not even on this grand of a scale. I mean, it really is that emotional piece because, I feel like for my business partner, it was like her letting go of her baby.
Yep.
Mhm.
And sometimes
Absolutely.
you have to let go of the baby so it can like stand on its own 2 feet. But it is really an
That's exactly-
incredibly emotional
That's exactly
process.
right. A lot of sellers are very loyal to their employees. They want to make
Mhm.
sure that the new owner is not just going to
Exactly.
fire everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And now
Right.
the new owner can do that if they want, but the seller might not want to sell them to them if they do.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of the strings that pass through here. It is a totally emotional thing.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh, wow. Well, I want to flip it back and forth here. Let's start in. You both have case studies. So, do you want to do one?
Yeah,
Guy?
yeah,
And then
absolutely.
you
I
do
can-
one, Charlie, and I'll leave it to you two to flip it. We'll just say time. If you just move on. Okay,
Sounds
your
good.
turn. Go ahead.
Yeah,
So we're
you-
going to look at case studies
Mhm.
that are real.
So, I brought a couple of real examples of companies that myself and Charlie and some of my agents in my office have sold in the past year to give you guys some real world examples. It's great talking about the theory, but I like the specifics. I like digging in
Mhm.
deep and trying to learn everything I can about it. So, the first case study I wanted to talk about was a sign fabrication and installation company. This was a franchised business that had been established for probably about 14 or 15 years. Owner of the business was about 69, and I get a phone call from him saying, hey, I'm interested in selling my business. I go and I set a meeting with him to go meet with him after hours at his business. And I say, why do you want to sell? He says, Billy, I'm 69. I plan on retiring whenever I'm 70. So I need to get that done. I said,
Ugh.
that sounds perfect. Let's get started. So I sat down with him, helped him evaluate his business by going through his books and records, assigned a price on his business for it. And we listed the business on April 6th of 2022.
Right.
And it was on the market for, probably about 7 months or so before we actually found the buyer and got to the closing table. But boy, was it a fun business to work with. This was a business that had great long-time loyal employees. This was a business that was mainly business to business services, which is a huge asset for most buyers looking for it because they're not dealing with the consumer directly. They're usually dealing with other businesses. So this company would essentially go out and handle all the signage needs for other businesses. So if I'm opening at a new office, I need a new sign out front door. This is the company to handle it. They've got all the bucket trucks and the equipment needed to fabricate and facilitate it. So, we put the business on the market and I find a buyer. The buyer in this instance was big in real estate. He owned a lot of properties in the St. Louis area for it. And what he needed and the value that he saw in the business is he had so much infrastructure with his real estate business. It made more sense for him to acquire an existing up and running sign business to add on to his existing portfolio. And it was a great fit. There was one person that bought it, and then he brought in another general manager who's kind of like the integrator role, who's working with the previous owner of the business, making sure everything's going smooth. This was a business that was generating probably around $150,000 in seller's discretionary earnings year over year. And the way that we sold this business, I put it on the market, found a buyer, facilitated the deal. We sold that business for $350,000. And the way this deal broke down was that we found the buyer, put down about $50,000 down. We had the seller actually finance a portion of the business. And that's another discussion we could probably get into. But a lot of times, whenever buyers are looking for businesses, and banks as well, they typically want the seller to carry some kind of a note. It usually doesn't have to be a large note, but sometimes something like 5% or 10% of the total purchase price can make sure that the seller stays motivated to actually get that
keep
business
them in the
sold.
loop so they don't make it too hard on the buyer.
They want to make it to where the buyer doesn't have to come up with as much of a down payment as possible, but they also want to make sure that the seller's still got some skin in the game. So in this business, he had the down payment, he had the seller financing, and since this buyer was essentially overcapitalized since he owned a lot of properties around the city, he was able to qualify for a conventional loan to buy the business. And, we went through due diligence, we got the franchise approval, we got the business sold, and, we closed on it. And I specifically remember at the closing table dealing with both the buyer and the seller said that he had sold 3 businesses by himself. And he shook my hand and he said, Billy, thanks for making that so easy. And it was a great moment for myself, but it was a great little company and it was a fun transaction to be involved in.
Yeah.
So Charlie, why don't you top him?
That's hard to do. That's
Oh,
hard to do.
why
I'm
did
not
I
gonna-
put you on
I'm
the
not-
spot
I'm
on
not gonna
that
top my
one?
boss.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're not going to do that. Why don't you support him?
I've got, this was actually my first listing when I started with the business last year. It was a home care company, a home care franchise,
Okay.
very successful franchise. It had been in business for about 15 years, something like that. They were doing about $3.5 million a year in sales. That as for 2021, they generated a seller's discretionary earnings of just shy of $500,000 a year.
Wow.
So we put it on the market I think we put it on in February with an asking price of $950,000. And
Wow.
the sellers were willing to finance 10% of that. I went through there was a lot of interest in it. And, but finally one buyer came along and we got them together. He moved up here from another state and we sold it on the 1st of August, we closed. So it was about 6 months that it took. And this one was particularly interesting because it sold for $600,000. It was on the market for $950,000. And well, let me tell you why. Its 2021 returns showed almost $500,000 in seller's discretionary earnings. But you will remember that last year, employees disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
this,
they didn't want to come to work anymore.
this was a highly labor intensive business, a home care business. They're hiring nurses and caregivers, and there was a complete shortage. So their revenues dropped, their profitability dropped. And this all happened basically between the end of 2021 and the time the business closed. So as the saying goes, as the sun comes down, so does the price. The price just got lower and lower, and it finally worked. It leveled off last spring. The employment was picking back up again, and it finally sold for $600,000. So
Charlie, what kind of business was it again?
this was a home care company. This was a company
Okay.
that hired caregivers that they would send into the homes of
Yeah,
seniors. and
I
others.
recently used one when I had a surgery.
Yeah.
It came on for like a month.
Yeah.
My kids wanted me to have it.
Yeah.
But
And
no,
it's a
yeah.
good company. The sellers wanted to retire, and which they have done happily. And the reason I mention it really is because of the decline in the price. You never know what's going to happen between the day you put it up listing and the day it actually
Why
closes.
did the price go down?
Because their revenues and profits went down because they couldn't hire employees. They lost employees. They couldn't rehire them. So they were turning away business. So their revenue came down. And as a result, their profit came down. And so you're going to apply the same multiples, and it came back to 600,000.
And they were receptive to that rather than not so.
It wasn't a pretty picture, but yes, they were. They really wanted to retire. They were motivated sellers. And so it was okay.
I'm just curious if we could share it, how old they were.
The sellers,
Uh-huh.
they were mid to late 60s.
God, they were younger than me. What's going on here?
Oh, who is
I
it?
just want to
Yeah.
Charlie.
Hey, I'll ask Dad. I'm still around.
Yeah, hang in there, Stan.
Charlie made an excellent point, and this is part of the reason why we're in business. A lot of times, if anybody tries to sell anything, whether you go on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, post an ad in the paper,
Right.
if you put something for sale and then you realize you get 100 phone calls coming through your phone, you don't have the time to devote to actually running your business. So what we
Exactly.
do is we tell the business owners, hey, listen, we're going to list the business, but go back to work. Keep
Right.
running the business, because we want to see those steady either increase in the business so that whenever we find that buyer, there's no surprises, But unfortunately, life happens sometimes. And sometimes, businesses are ran for personal reasons, and revenues can either shoot up or they can shoot down. In this case, it was something where the seller wasn't exactly happy with the drop in revenues, but we were still able to put a deal together by just translating what the true picture was and finding the value in that deal.
And there's another element to this. When we recommend a price to a seller, they may say, well, I want to get more than that. And we'll say, okay, this is the price that we recommend, but we'll go along with your price and we'll see what happens. Now we get weekly statistics on how many people saw the ad,
Right.
how many people clicked through on the ad,
Right.
how many people contacted us and asked for information, how many people signed a non-disclosure agreement, how many people actually went through to a buyer-seller meeting and did an offer come through. And if we're getting a lot of views, but no contacts, no offers, we know we're priced too high. And so we'll have a conversation with a buyer or a seller saying, remember the conversation we had when we set this price? Well, here are the facts. We're getting a lot of people looking, but nobody clicking through, and we got to lower the price.
That's the same thing with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we do radio, we were having a discussion before we came in the studio here of, who's listening and how frequently and what's going on. And we get all these demographics that shapes the commercial and shapes the penetration. But, and to remind the audience, you're listening to the It's Your Business Show. I slipped it in there. You're listening to the It's Your Business Show on 92.9 FM, KWRH, and 102.9 KXOK. And guess what? The following week, next week, we're going to play the show 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., Monday to Friday, this exact show. And you can go and you can listen to it on KMTC St. Louis, KMTC St. Louis, ST Louis. And you'll be able to hear this exact show to our millions and millions and millions of listeners. And if they do that, and they want to call you, let's do it one more time. Gentlemen, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can get a hold of us at 636-400-6100. Once again, that is 636-400-6100.
Okay.
And Charlie, what's your direct line so they can call
My
you?
direct line is 636-400-5409. I remember your number, but
Oh
not
my
mine.
God.
636-400-5409.
Hey, Jimmy, we're in the last 3 minutes, buddy. All right, our engineer said we're in the last 3 minutes. So we got 2 case studies, but remember now, we only got 3 minutes. That's 180 seconds. How do you want to close the show? You want to talk one more case history, or do you
I think
wanna
this
talk-
one would be
huh?
an interesting one.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
can
why
I can
don't
talk
you
real
jump
quickly
in
on
real
that.
quick
Yeah,
on
so
that?
another case study I had was this was a 15-year-old established business. This was a marble and granite countertop business. So what they do is they take these giant slabs of granite countertops and they cut them into specific fittings and they use them and install them in
I've seen
residential
that on
houses.
the Home
right?
Network. Man, is that cool?
Oh yeah, the technology that these guys have. I mean, they have literally cranes inside of their building that use these huge water jets to cut them. It's a beautiful business. But this was a business that was a similar situation. Family-owned business had a
Yeah.
need to exit. They were looking to retire. So what did we do? We listed the business on March 31st, and this is kind of a nice success story I like to have is that we were able to actually sell this business by August 31st. So they were only on the market for about 151 days.
Why?
So it was because we found a good buyer for him that realized the value in that business, and we facilitated the sale for him. And everything from this was a business that was putting off a cash flow of about $73,000, and by finding a buyer who was interested, who was already in the industry, we were able to get that business sold for $355,000 and help that seller retire and move on to the next goal.
It's so cool.
Yes.
It's cool.
Mhm.
So we're kind of in the home stretch with about a
We
minute.
are.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And we there would have been lots more to talk about. So, gentlemen, thank you today for being on the show. And if somebody wants to do business, why don't you take a turn? Let's see if he knows the company numbers. All right, Charlie.
One more time.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
Before
I'm
we part
teasing. I'm
ways,
teasing.
Charlie.
All right, Charlie. What?
Well, we are more than happy to talk with anybody anytime about their business, help them develop an exit strategy. Buyers, if they're interested in finding a business that fits their general parameters, we can help with that as well. Just give us a call and we can come out and sit down with you if we're local. And otherwise, we can Zoom or have a conference call and talk through, answer your questions, and help you develop that exit strategy.
You'll be hearing from me.
Oh.
I want to get prepared.
Charlie's
There
the
you
man. Charlie's
He's
the
the
man.
man. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank
Thank
you
you,
for being
Stan.
on the
Thank you,
show
Missy.
today.
Yes.
Dr.
You're
Pleasure
Stan,
to
Missy,
be
thank
with
you
you
guys so
today.
much. This
Yeah,
has been a
this
lot
was
of fun.
fun. You guys are really good. You're
Yes.
really, really good.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
All right, audience, thank you. Next week, Missy's going to interview me on my new book, How to Promote Your Business with Lesser Money, and she's going to help educate the world. I'm going to have you interview. You told
You're
me
going to
do it.
educate the world.
Yeah, I'm going to.
This is your book.
But you're going to interview him, so we're good. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll talk to you. All right, we got to go. The engineer says get out of here. Okay,
Yes.
we're done.
Have a great week,
Thank
everyone.
you, everybody. Bye.
Well, welcome, listeners, to
No, I love that. And for you being here as long as you have without the water, because I feel like water is such a healing element. How are you surviving that all this time here?
Well,
Or do
actually,
you travel a lot to the water?
we were before COVID hit, but actually, it's a great question. I've been here in Missouri for 24 years. Something like that, 24 years. And every winter I was going through depression. Every winter it would just basically be in bed and I wouldn't do anything. And I started adopting like different routines just to help me out, and it did. And for the last, I would say, 6 years, it's been better. There's just that thing. Just my body and my soul yearns to be next to the water. So actually, my parents moved to Oaxaca, 2 years ago, and they lived next to the beach. So we planned a big trip to go there in summer, and just Kara and I, and then in the winter, take the whole family. And we're thinking about maybe opening a pizza to be next to the water. And just something that I can't shake. It's just like that. It's hard for me.
Yes.
And I think that it will allow me to just
Very awesome. My marketing person is actually on her way to Yes, yes. She just came back from there. She's done a couple yoga retreats and learning. There were some seminars. Oh, not where exactly, but it was beautiful. She was. It was. I was like, you're coming back, right?
Sarah's never been, so
I've never been to Oaxaca, but we did go to San Diego a couple of times. We went to Florida. It's just a different vibe, East Coast versus West Coast. But I will say, as you were talking, I was like, oh, but we actually have a lake in our subdivision, and so like there are water elements, and Eddie has. I'm sorry, he's Eddie to me. He built a pond, a healing oasis in our backyard. And so you asked about the water, which is such a great question, but he has incorporated that into, our home, our property, our sacred land. It's literally
I
like
love the water.
it's literally like a retreat center there.
Yeah.
It is.
yeah, we had fire all the water feature, carrots hit out, pond,
Sweet.
yeah, it's just that new speed surrounded by the ocean.
Yes. I feel you in the winter though. Kind of suffer somewhat from that seasonal disorder. So it is hard.
I wonder if that's just not actually seasonal affective and it's like not being connected to the earth during that time, right? Like missing certain elements, right?
I've definitely been embracing the cold and the outdoors